It is break time. I am so excited to be here today. And if you don't know who I am Mischelle O'Neal, your resident emotional wellness coach and strategist. And look, I decided that this is something that I want to do. I want to jump on it at least once a week between the lunch period, say between 12 and 1, and just talk to you for 15 minutes. I want to pick one subject and we're going to dissect it a little bit so that we can apply it in our everyday life. And so I am excited to do this the first time. Um, I just jumped on and I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And it's not going to be perfect this time. It's not as planned as I like. I'm a planner and I'm a strategist, but I wanted to talk to you. And there's a lot going on right now. And so I feel it's important that we learn or be willing to speak from our voice. And just before I say that, look, if you're here, give me a shout out. Let me know you're here. I want to shout you out. I want this to be a conversation. I want us to talk to each other, even if it's in the chat. And I can't see the chat everywhere, so forgive me for that. I'm hoping that this is on all my platforms that I did select. So I hope you're watching me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and soon to be Substack. But I want to have this conversation with you and I want to get to know you better. So today, what I wanted to talk about is how do you show up with integrity when you don't feel it's safe to speak? And how often are we in rooms, especially as women, in rooms and we feel that maybe this isn't the place or for me to say this or the time for me to say this. And don't get me wrong, discernment and wisdom is very, very important. And learning those are important. But that's a difference between that and suppression. And so the question is, are you suppressing yourself? And look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. There are moments when you want to speak up. I mean, really, no, it's just rising up in you and you want to say something, but something in your body, something from the past. Remember, we're always talking about unlearning, and that means unlearning things that you've done for I don't know how long. But what I'm saying, and I hope this is, if you're not hearing me, let me know, because I want to make sure that you're having an opportunity to hear and have that conversation back with me. But like I said, but sometimes, we've learned how not to say things, how to suppress what we're feeling. And so we learned that really it wasn't safe to tell the truth. It wasn't safe to speak out. There was some repercussion behind it or something like that. For example, so sometimes teachers, as a teacher, you're afraid to question an admin policy because it may cost you your job, or you may be looked on as that person that is always challenging administration or challenging authority. Or even your peers may be like, oh my gosh, there she goes again with another question. You ever be in one of those situations where you're there with people and that one person who's always, when you're ready to get out of there, and that one person that always has something to say? Well, that's it. Or maybe it's a situation where you've learned in meetings, because you don't want to be seen. And for those of you who identify with this, I'm gonna say it, seen as that angry Black woman, right? And so with that said, then you don't want to speak out or you don't want to talk. And for me, when I talk, I get excited and people are always thinking I'm yelling or I'm loud, and I am. And I may be loud talking to you now, but I'm not angry. I'm just excited and I'm passionate about what this is that I have to say. So you've learned to, maybe it's best not to say anything because I don't want to offend anyone, right? So, or then, I have a lot of my caregivers out there as well. And you learn to suppress your grief because you want to stay composed, and you don't want everybody else to feel or go down that road that you're down. So these are all things that we've learned along the way. And so my question to you is, we've been told that integrity is all about doing the right thing, right? Even in the military, one of the things they say is integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's there to see you. And I truly believe that. But what what happens? Let's see if we can fix this. Okay, I am back. We are fixed. Sorry about that. Seems something happened, but I'm back on here. And so if you lost me for a minute, I'm back. But let me get back into this. So, integrity means stand in integrity with yourself about who you are and how you show up. And do you know when you hide yourself, when you suppress yourself, then you're not being honest with those who are around you. It's not just that you're not being honest with yourself, but you're not being honest with the other people. You're showing them someone that you're not. Is that integrity? So, it's not a fear of speaking. I want you to understand this. I want you to understand I want to talk about the emotional root of this, and it's not about the fear of speaking. It's the fear of emotional risk. It's that emotional risk, putting yourself out there and knowing that there's the possibility that somebody may beat you down or something. And so safety, to you, safety equals compliance. And in many women's lives, that's what we experience. If we want to feel safe, if we want to be safe, then that's how we deal with it. We be quiet, or we don't say anything, or we don't cause any waves, right? And emotional regulation doesn't mean silence. It means honest restraint. There's a difference. There's wisdom. There's discernment. I'm going to say it again. Emotional regulation doesn't mean silence. What it means is honest restraint. And so that's what we're talking about. So I want to introduce a shift. So each time that we get on online, each time we have one of these break times, and I'm having fun with this, but each time we have one of these break times, what I want you to know is that I will give you a real world trigger. We're going to talk about one thing specifically, but I'm also going to tell you the emotional root of that trigger. And then finally, I'm going to give you the shift. And one more thing, the practice. So, the shift that we're going to deal with today is the disruptive reframe. We're going to reframe this. Integrity isn't performance. And that's been a big thing with me lately, is whether I'm performing, and I'm a performer. I grew up in a life where my mother used to sing. My life has been around performers, and I have been a performer. I've been in plays, and I've been in um, on stage. I've been singing, all that. I was in the Air Force band. So if anybody knows something about performance, hey, it's this girl here. But integrity, being who you are, being real, all that, performance goes out of the window. It's not about performing. It's about delivering. It's about being real. It's about stepping into who you are. It's alignment. Simple, easy. That's what it is. And alignment doesn't require an audience. It requires an audience of one. You. How do you feel about that? So, here's my practice for you. Ask yourself, what am I holding back to keep the peace? I want you to sit with that for a minute. What am I holding back to keep the peace? And is that peace costing me something important? I want you to look at the cost of your keeping the peace. And where's the integrity of this? I want to hear back from you. Look, and if you catch me on the replay, I know we had a little glitch in here, but if you catch me on the replay, I still want you to answer these. And you don't have to answer it out loud. But what I do want you to do is I want you to write it down for yourself. Hey, I keep my little journal here with me all the time because sometimes some things just slap me in the face and I want to remember them. And so I write them down. And so if nothing else, I encourage you to write it down. Just write it down. So look, this is how you stay in integrity. Simple. By staying in relationship with your truth. By keeping that relationship open to your truth. Even if you can't say it out loud yet, write it down and say it in here. Say it in quiet or say it out loud, but when you're by yourself. But I want you to own it. I want you to feel that alignment that comes when you do acknowledge the truth. So, look, I am so glad you were with me today. I'm looking at the time. Yep, I didn't stay more than 15 minutes. So, even with a little glitch. So, thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate your being here. In fact, I'm under 15 minutes. That's great. So, look, tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. I'm doing a workshop and it's called Stress Isn't the Problem, It's the Symptom. We're talking about that Band-Aid that we are always putting on stress, trying to fix it, trying to make it better, trying to make sure it doesn't get dirty and it doesn't hurt or you don't bump it. But look, tonight, I want to rip that Band-Aid off and let's take care of that wound. Stress isn't the problem, it's the symptom. And so I'd love for you to join me tonight at 7 p.m. And we're going to talk about this. And we're going to go through this. And I hope you walk away. In fact, I know you will walk away different, thinking different, feeling different. And so until next time, you are on the Unlearning Break-Time Live. Tell me what you think about the name too, because we're going to be unlearning all the time. Look, thank you. See, I keep saying look, but thank you for being here today. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Oh, and the link for tonight for you to sign up will be in the show notes and in the comments and on some stages on my bio. Take care. Bye-bye.